So how was that? If you don't have some sweat pouring and some adrenaline pumping right now, you haven't done the exercise. So before you do this chapter, do that exercise. Trust me, it will make a difference for you. And do it as often as you like when doubt seeps in. I wouldn't do it in front of a lot of people because I think you're a little crazy. But you can do it when you need it, okay? Now, you want another one? If you don't want another one, I won't give you one. Okay, I'm going to give you another one anyway, okay? Number 2, this is a method we use in a lot of our workshops, taught to me by my masters many, many years ago. And it's based, to gain confidence that is, and it's based upon the fact that we operate in various states. In other words, you have a physical state. So take your hands and touch your body. Okay, physical state. Go like this. You have a what? Mental state, good. And you also have a what? An emotional state, right? So what are they again? That's right, physical, what? Can't hear you, mental, and what? Emotional, okay, good. Now, what we know about those states is that they're all connected. So, and what research has told us is if you change one state, you change them all. So, let's take this another step. What's the easiest one to change? That's right, physical, easiest one to change. In other words, bragging exercise, a physical state change, immediately changes your mental and your emotional state, if you notice that, yes? Now, I'm going to give you another one very similar to this, even more powerful. One of my ideals, we talked about self-ideals, is I have always studied great leaders, people like Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, great leaders. And so, and model them, not only model their thoughts and their emotions, but actually taking their speeches and modeling their speeches. Why? Because the way I was taught that if I could model them physically, model the physical oration that they delivered with the same passion, the same energy they deliver it in, I actually will begin to also model their thinking, their passion, their emotion, their thoughts. Cool, eh? You got to admit that's pretty cool. So, I'm going to give you an example of one, and you can go find your own. And you can find great speeches all over YouTube. You can find them at the video stores. You can find them in a lot of places. But one of my favorites is Reverend Martin Luther King and his final speech. You know his I Have a Dream speech. But his final speech, the last speech that he gave before he died, was very, very, very powerful. And it was, what's even spooky about this speech is he actually you can hear him forecasting his own death in this piece. But there was a very, very powerful message to it. So when I have stage fright, and believe it or not, I get stage fright, when I am in doubt about a project that I'm working on, when my confidence is low, I always go back to this video that I have watched hundreds and hundreds of times, that I have memorized. And you don't have to memorize it, but I've memorized some of these things. And it goes something, part of his speech goes something like this. He said, his last words were, "It really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountain, and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." And the next day, he was gone. A sniper's bullet. But his dream lived on. And you have to ask yourself, what was so powerful about that speech that allowed his dream to carry on through generations? Because the final message is, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. So for me, by modeling that piece, and I hope you could see that my body is still shaking a little bit, is that speech gives me the courage. It resurrects the Martin Luther King in me. It resurrects the bigger person in me. See, inside of you, there's a Martin Luther King, there's a Kennedy, there's a leader, there's a saint, there's a villain, there's a comedian. There's all those pieces inside. And when you're willing to model the behavior that you want, the courage that you want, and by the way, this is you notice it was very quick. Then go out and take on the task at hand. Then go out and stand in front of the 5,000, 10,000 people if that's what you want to do. Or make that single phone call that's the project that's going to make your business go over the top. Whatever it is for you, modeling. So I ask you as a challenge as you leave this chapter, find your own leaders. Find your own inspirational speakers. Find excerpts from movies if it's what inspires you. Even comedy routines, pieces that will get you to be bigger, outrageously strong. Because at the end of the day, that's who you are. And sometimes it takes a model, Martin Luther King, or somebody to bring it out of you. But it's already there. Check it out. Find your own leaders.